Hello, I'm Andrei Ţăranu and you're watching TVP World Talks, where every word matters. Romania is facing an unprecedented challenge for its political system, as a candidate previously considered to be basically just a representative of a fringe movement all of a sudden emerges as the victor in the first round of presidential elections. The candidate in question holds some rather unpopular views, unpopular especially in the West. He is pro-Russian. He has also praised Romanian fascists from back in the 1930s. So some very unusual views there, but the biggest question is, how did he manage to win against the odds? Was it a problem with the electoral system? Was it a problem perhaps with the pollsters? Or was there actually something else, something more sinister going on behind the scenes? And we're going to be asking all these questions and more to our guest today, Andrei Ţăranu, professor at the National University of Political Studies and Public Administration. Hello and welcome to TVP World.
Hello, good morning everybody. Thank you for having me here.
So first of all, we have the Supreme Court in Romania ordering a recount. This does not really happen very often in national elections, not recently. What do you think about this decision? Some say it is stepping out of line, that it should not intervene. Others are suggesting, well, okay, if there are doubts as to whether the political system, the political process, was actually following the patterns that it should be following or not, well, it should be investigated. What is your take on that?
Actually, it's very peculiar because we have one recounting, but only the white ballots back in 2009. Now, what the Constitutional Court claims, it's to recount all the votes, that mean 9 million and something votes, which was cast in the previous election, which is really a madness, because in 2 weeks from now we are going to have the second turn of the presidential election, and we still don't know if the first turn will be accepted by the Constitutional Court. And if it's going to happen like that, probably Mr. Georgescu and his supporters are going to martyrize themselves and to think that everybody tried to push them on the corner, which is probably not true, because everybody said, even the candidates who lost the election, that the election in from 24th of November were quite right, and also the international viewers say the same. So it's very, very strange for everybody. And also yesterday, the court of the Committee of Defense of Romania, which is led by the president of Romania, start to make a sort of inquiry over the Georgescu's ballots, which are thought, as you said, that are supported by Vladimir Putin's Russia. So we are now, as you said, also in a sort of a political turmoil, and also nobody knows what is going to happen next. I mean, today, if the Constitutional Court will ask for remake the election, probably in the next month, very close to the Christmas, or is or gonna be something else, and the fire will be ended, and we are going to have the second turn next week.
But this is all about the integrity of the democratic process, right? So there are questions as to how did Mr. Georgescu manage to catapult himself from being a little-known French candidate hovering above about 10% to gaining more than 22% of the votes, winning the first round. There are questions concerning what might have influenced this particular result. Do you think that this is all fair and square, or that there are things which should be investigated there? For example, the use of social media. We're talking in particular about TikTok, really. There are accusations that TikTok afforded him preferential treatment because it normally labels political content as political and places some restrictions there. Those making these accusations say this labeling was not there. So effectively, Mr. Georgescu had a very comfortable and convenient, position on TikTok because he was able to reach more people unopposed and unchallenged.
Yes, that's very true. But on the other side, you have to say that in Romania, TikTok is not forbidden. So what he did, if he did, it was just to manipulate the algorithms of TikTok and the social media. But on the other side, the problem is what is going to happen. It's to make him a sort of a martyr, which was forbidden to win the election. Probably
he's going to invoke this is cancel culture, probably, as they all do.
Yes,
but do you think that this should be the prime concern, though? I mean, TikTok is a company based in China. We do know that China is
we can. Sure, we are totally agree about that. But on the secret services and also the reporters can claim that he manipulated TikTok before the election, not after the election. This is the problem, because if TikTok is not forbidden and he won, probably supported by Russia and manipulated the datas, was quite simple to be observed by the rulers of Romania during the process, not after the process. This is the real problem, because everybody which supports Mr. Georgescu, I'm not a supporter of him, actually. I'm totally against him. But I'm thinking what normal people which support Mr. Georgescu are going to say if he's going to be banished. This is the real problem. So once again, from my point of view, what the Constitutional Court said probably is right. In Romania, the decision of the Constitutional Court is executive, but on the other side, that will make a huge political problem in the parliamentary and also in the next presidential election.
So what I'm asking is whether you believe that this situation is entirely organic, because there are suggestions that it was not about manipulating the algorithms. It was about the social media platform itself possibly being more helpful to Mr. Georgescu than to the others. And some people say, okay, so if China is in cahoots with Russia, because, well, it is to some extent. I mean, they have announced a limitless partnership a while ago, and, it has its limits, really. But, again, we can see that there are patterns of cooperation there. So what if Russia tried to contact China saying, look, we have this country that's supporting Ukraine, but we might actually try to meddle with the elections a bit, but we would need access to some of the algorithms, some of the protocols, and you have this company called TikTok. Would you be able to perhaps help us slightly? I mean, of course, we don't want to create, conspiracy theories, but this looks as too much of a coincidence, really. I mean, Russia was meddling with the elections in Moldova. It was certainly also instrumental in Georgia. And so do you think that this, again, could be some sort of process that goes beyond simply, hiring a bunch of whiz kids who are able to, do this sort of social media ninja stuff and just be better than anyone else?
Yes, it's quite probable that you are right, but I think China is not involved. Russia have enough troll farms and enough electronic structure in order to melting directly, not to involve China. They know very well how to use TikTok and Telegram in order to change the minds and to turn a wave against or for something. You are probably right that Russia is really involved. But once again, the problem is, okay, Russia was involved. Now we know that. So the people are already aware about. So they are going to have a normal and democratic vote, because imagine that Gordon Brown or what happens in the Brexit in 2016. To said Cambridge Analytica was involved in this referenda, so we are going to banish it because it was not right. Everybody knows that Cambridge Analytica was involved. People doesn't know, but finally the Brexit occurred. So we have to accept that we can change it for the next 2 weeks. All the data's banished or forbidden TikTok for the next 2 weeks, and to have normal and democratic election.
So overall, we can see that this is a complex process, and it involves many different variables, such as the question of supervision over social media, but also the very nature of democracy, how to protect it without, as you're suggesting, actually subverting the very essence of democracy. Professor Andrei Ţăranu was our guest today here on TVP World. Thank you very much for joining us and for sharing your insight.
Thank you very much for having me.
And I'm Andrei Ţăranu. You're watching TVP World. Please stay with us for more latest news and updates.